Okay, in this video I'm going to show you the screen and describe some of the functionality and layout of the screen itself. So right now we're on the e-stop screen. By hitting the start button, we're going to go ahead and take it out of e-stop. It'll go to the main screen. And then from the main screen, you could either select a hand mode or auto mode. Sensor mode on or off. And that's only if you're going to be running in auto mode. You have, if there's any recipes done, and we'll explain those in a minute. We also have, in the red down here, a way of manually jogging in hand mode, the belt either reverse or forward, or if we want to cycle the belt at that index length. Okay, so that's nice to jog a part out and then take another manual hit. On the left-hand side of the screen, top corner, there's our index length. So that would be the distance traveled from cut to cut. So you would simply measure the distance of your die, rule to rule. Let's say it's 4.5 inches. You'd make it 5 inches, and you would enter 5 inches in there. If you want it less or more, you go ahead and you can adjust that simply there. 5.00, right? Get yourself an extra. Little extra space, 5 1/4. You can go ahead and you can adjust that as you're running. Belt speed, 5 out of 20. You can adjust that 20 or as low as 1. And that'll be for the belt speed itself. Bit of information on there. A belt speed of 20 is at about 130 feet per minute. The RAM timer, that's how much time the RAM is actually going to descend down. And that time should be long enough so that the stop blocks hit the bottom wear plate, build pressure, make the cut, and then retract. Position, that is for your distance traveled when you do planks. So our machine, when you run sensor mode, auto mode, it'll detect that front edge with our wheel sensor, and it'll automatically index 25 inches. So this way the front of the plank would have our first hit on there. It would index 5 inches, and depending on how many hits per sheet you are, right? If you want to do 5 hits per sheet, depending on how long your sheet are, right? You can go ahead and you can adjust that as well. What's also great about our system is these parameters are stored in a recipe, and I'll touch base on that right there. Off our main screen, you can go to Setup. We have the ability to view our status of our sensor procs. That's the material sensor. That's for your sensor mode. Whether or not the RAM up limit is made, your e-stop is active, your right palm, your left palm, and whether or not the RAM is turning on or off. And you only see that when actually the RAM is energized and on its way down. We have a view pressure. So by pressing that button, it'll run a 10-second timer. This way you can adjust your cutting pressure. You have the ability to go from metric to inch. And there's also a little status on here to letting you know that the servo itself is running the way it should, okay? Go back to main menu. You can reset the batch, reset the total hits. So that tells us that we ran 6,000 hits for our quality control. I'll go ahead and reset that, bring that down to 0. So that's a good way of letting you know how many hits you ran per shift, per hour, per day, or per job, basically. So let's say all these settings are what we want, right? 5 hits per sheet, RAM timer 1 second, belt speed, I'll make it a little more realistic. I'll make it at 5. Index length is 5 inches. If I want to create a new recipe, I hit create new recipe, and it tells you enter new recipe name. Press save recipe file button. Okay, so now there's a keypad that comes up on here. So I'll just label this test, T-E-S-T. Okay. Test is stored up there. I can go ahead and I can view and change any of the machine settings, but the physical adjustments such as the height adjustment in the in-feed, out-feed pinch rollers, or your RAM setting, the pressure that you're going to be running at, and any of the shims are all right in there, okay? So these are all 0. We don't know that yet as far as what we're going to actually run, but we can go and we can modify these once we go and run. So I'm going to hit save recipe file. Prompts us yes to save. So that's the basic start of saving a recipe, right? And to recall that recipe, I can go ahead and go to Recipe Manager. Test is stored right there. Select that. Over here is load or delete. Delete is to get rid of. Load is to load it. So now, recipe test is loaded. Our parameters are all stored. So now when we go ahead and run, we go to Recipe Manager, Recipe Screen, and then all our parameters are right here. This way we can do our physical adjustments repetitively, especially if you have like a work traveler or SOP for the job, you'd be able to go ahead and run that easily. Go back to main menu. This is to update the current recipe. So let's say I don't want to have 5 inches. I want to go to 5.2, give it a little bit more space between hits. I can go ahead and update it. Name already exists. You're sure you do want to overwrite. So test is already there. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. So next time when I load test, 5.2 will be there for you. Okay, so we have the palm buttons here. That's actually for us to take a hit in manual mode. So this way the RAM would come down. Right now we have the motor turned off, so this way the audio is a little bit better. The next video I'll show you machine operation, as well as belt lacing and material load. Thanks very much.